Jeff.
I'll mute myself. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We're very glad you're with us today. It is July 9th, 2021. Our agenda today, we'll start out with success stories. I haven't heard of anything, but maybe somebody online has landed and will tell us their success story. After that, we'll go to our 30-second introductions. We'll have everybody put their information into the chat window. We'll then go to our committee reports, and then we'll hear from our speaker for the main event today. For everybody, if you have not done it, I know there's a few people in there. I'm looking at the chat at the participant box right now, and you don't have your full name in there. It's just good practice if possible. If you can, hover over the microphone camera, and where you see that, you can go and rename yourself. It's just good practice so that everybody can find out who you are if they're trying to reach out. So please, and you can click on that little box underneath when you change your name to remember my name for future meetings. That way you won't have to do that in the future. For those people, if you have questions throughout the presentation, or if you have questions throughout, please just open up the Zoom chat box. That'd be great. For those people watching on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that comments in the Zoom chat window do not appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2007, I took over the leadership and facilitating the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. Back in 2007, the leader of the group landed a job and said, who wanted to take over? And I think I scratched my face. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So I've been doing this since 2007. In 2008, I saw there was a need for a website for people who were unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area by putting everything you need to know about your job search in one place. So I started a website called careerdfw.org. In 2012, I launched a second website called careerusa.org. After being invited to go to the White House and meeting with people from all over the United States and finding out that there really wasn't anything else like it in the country. Nobody else was thinking about the bigger picture. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a moment. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news. Do we have any landings? If anybody has landed, please feel free to unmute your mic and tell us your good news. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll keep on moving along here. All right, what we need everybody to do now, if you will, some people have already done it. Thank you, Brian and Bonnie and a couple others. Please open up your chat box and please in there, please put your 30-second introduction. Put your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. And I will get all this information. I will publish it out to everybody who's with us today when I send out the roster this afternoon. And by doing that, you'll get your name onto the roster. So if you don't put any information in the chat window, you won't. I won't be able to, I won't count you on the chat because I won't know that you've been part of this process. For those people watching on Facebook right now, I will go delete your personal information immediately after this meeting is over from the comment fields. So let's put 30 seconds on the clock. Welcome to continue putting your information in. Just we really appreciate everybody. And then, you know, the whole point of this is so, you know, this afternoon or over the weekend, take a look at the email I put out and make sure See if there's somebody on the list that you can help. Help one person every day. Really be appreciated, just to make things go a little bit easier. Okay, it's time to hear about job, career fairs, training, and workshop. Eldon is not with us today. His mother-in-law passed away this past Monday, so I will be doing this for you. So let me get the right thing up here. Here we go. So all the information that Eldon usually pulls, it comes off the calendar, off the Career DFW calendar. What you're looking at now is the everything page, but what he concentrates is on job fairs. So you can click on the job fair tab. And you can see that this week there were none that we know about. This Saturday, there is a recycling event at St. Andrews UMC from 9 to 11 o'clock, where they can take the recycled electronic items. So that is this week's sessions. Let's see here. For special workshops and job fairs coming up Monday, Networking Mondays. You can join Networking Mondays every Monday from 1 to 2:30. This week is, oh my gosh, I've forgotten who it is. But we have a different speaker every week who talks about networking. The presentation this Monday will be 90 minutes long. So just be aware it's networking the old-fashioned way. So please be sure to join us. This will be a little bit longer presentation than normal. On Tuesday, for LinkedIn Tuesdays, our speaker is Kurt Vandemater. Kurt is a professional retained executive search recruiter. He will be showing us LinkedIn from the back end. So if you're interested in what LinkedIn looks like to a recruiter, and to a recruiter that pays thousands of dollars a year to LinkedIn to be able to get all the information, you'll be able to see what he searches for when he's trying to find you. Next Tuesday afternoon from 4 to 6 o'clock at Opening Doors for Women, Employability with the Background. So if you have a questionable criminal background check, if you've got some issues, this may be a really good presentation to go back and join. There's information on how you can do it. There's a Facebook link on how you can go find out about that in the comment field. Wednesday morning, the Who You Know Career Transition Summit from 10 to 12 o'clock. This used to be from 9 to 11, but they've moved it to 10 to 12. It is free to attend. This is done by Trevor and Foster, and there's a Zoom link down here that you can go back and register down here at the very bottom. Please register. It'd be really appreciated so they know you're attending, and you'll get the Zoom link once you do that. This Wednesday for Interviewing Wednesdays, we'll be on session number 11, information and interviews, how to network efficiently, types of referrals, active listening, converting contacts into connections, supports champions and advocates. So please join us Wednesday from 1 to 2:30. There is a Zoom link in the box. On Thursday, Effective Resume Thursdays. This Thursday, we have a special guest speaker, Aaron Alovitz, who's the Operation Director at Next Step Recruiting. So if you've seen any jobs with Next Step Recruiting, Alan is the Operation Director there, and he'll be presenting his top tips on how to be seen and how to make sure your resume gets seen by recruiters. This Friday morning is the IoT Internet of Things breakfast. They meet the third Friday of the month. So if you're interested, 7:40 to 9 o'clock. And if you can click here on the meetup and find out more information about that event that's going on. So that's what's going on on the tabs. Like I said, all the information is on the Career DFW calendar. If you know somebody who just lost their job, somebody who needs some help, please tell them about Career DFW and Career USA. Right on the very front page, I have a little thing here. So I just lost my job. What do I do now? Click here for help. And if you do that, it'll take you to an article that's got some other great links that takes you to other articles that will help somebody in their job search. What do I do first? What do I do next? Step-by-step process on what you can do. So please let people know if you know somebody who's unemployed about the websites. It's time to hear from the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark.
Well, good morning, Jeff. And here we go. Oops, nope, didn't work. There we go. Posted up my contact information and my LinkedIn profile. And let me tell you a little bit about the pit crew, if you don't already know. So Hey, the pit crew offers practice interviews, and they're very customized and personalized to your situation. So that means you provide a job description and a resume. So we practice against a specific job opportunity. It doesn't have to be one that you've already engaged in. It could just be your dream job. But anyway, that's what we work against and prepare for, and then deliver you about a 45-minute panel interview on the Zoom technology, specifically focused on your background and that job opportunity and actually where you are in the process. So some people practice without an opportunity. That's a great thing to do, because every time you practice, you're going to become more confident and get better. A lot of people, for that very first interview, they'd like to practice, but you can practice for a second or a third round. Doesn't matter. And as you go through and move up in the organization, we will adjust the interview experience to, help you prepare for that. So that's what the pit crew is all about. When you're ready to practice, you just send that information, resume and job description, to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and that's also in the chat window. And if you have any questions, you can also just send me an email and I'll answer those questions. And sometimes people will send me an email and say, are you available to give me a practice interview on Tuesday of next week? And so the way that works is when your information comes in, I send it out to all my volunteers, who, by the way, have all been hiring managers and have all been in job transition, just like you. But they then sign up to be on your panel. So it usually takes about 2 days to set up the interview, 2 business days, but it can take 3. So when you send in your information, I'll go to work right away to set up that practice interview either 2 days or 3 days ahead of time. So include your availability. If you're not available some of next Tuesday or Wednesday, for example, then let me know when you are available and we'll adjust to your needs and your time availability. So that's how that works. Now, the pit crew, what's coming up next, Jeff? Okay, link in with me. There you go. There's my LinkedIn profile, and the direct link to that is also in the chat window. So just send me a note that said we met on North Dallas Career Focus Group, and I'll add you to my network, which is going to help with finding contacts inside your target company. So that's the big advantage to linking in with me. One-way interviews are also being offered by the pit crew. It's an opportunity just to practice interacting with a one-way interview tool, and we use Easy Hire, which Jeff arranged to be donated. It's a professional level tool, and you get the chance to interact with it. So what that means is I give you the questions in advance. This is kind of what the pit crew is trying to achieve. It's just an opportunity for you to get used to working with the tool. So I'll give you the questions in advance. You can prepare for that, and then when you engage the tool, it's a very strange experience, frankly, to talk to your computer when nobody's on the other end. But you get to practice that, and then you'll get to see your video, and it's a pretty hands-off process. Once I get it started, it just happens through the tool interaction, and nobody's going to see that video except for you, unless you choose to share the link with them. But if you don't, it's a completely confidential and private matter. It's just an opportunity for you to practice. So as with two-way interviews, just send an email to me at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and I'll set that up for you. I had one candidate do that this week. So reach out, and there's another opportunity to practice one-way interviewing. And then I don't usually do this, but today I want to mention that, because I forgot to mention it on Wednesday, is that I also do some coaching. And the question is, why did you leave your last position? So that's what I coach on. And if you're going to struggle with that, if it's going to cause you some angst, if you have some concern that you may flub that question, then let's have a conversation, a confidential conversation, and we'll figure out how to storyboard your specific situation, including any follow-up questions that may be generated by the specifics around what happened. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Practice early, practice often, and reach out to me at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com if you'd like to practice or if you have any questions.
Mark, thank you very, very much. Good morning, Walt. Oh, you need to talk about what's coming up this Wednesday. Well, we already sort of.
Oh yeah, I did forget to mention that. So coming up this Wednesday is informational interviews. We've done 10 of the sessions so far, 5 on preparing and 5 on effective interviewing. So those are available on the Career USA YouTube channel. You can go take a look at those. Coming up for the rest of July and the end of the series is informational interviews, and then dealing with difficult interviewers and difficult interview questions. And then finally, common mistakes that we see all the time that almost everyone makes when they come to the pit crew. And so we'd like to share those with you so you can work on avoiding them, even if you haven't had a practice interview. So that's what's coming up. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Mark. All right. Mark's better half or other half or whatever. It's Walt Glass. Good morning, Walt.
Well, gee whiz, some of the biggest mistakes I think you can make is not practicing interviewing. So while the pit crew is a great place to practice the real interview, the specialized interview, the mock interview, I offer the interview success workshop, which is none of those. It is an interview, but we're going to focus on the fundamentals of differentiation and how to sell who we are, what we do, and how we can help them. So you have to be registered to attend. Now look me up on my LinkedIn page. The About section gives you details. I'm going to put a little something now into the chat window so that you know how to contact me, but it's the Yahoo email address for registration. In this place, in this environment that I like to create and set up for interviewing is one of learning. It's more emphasized on learning before you really start practicing. How do we prepare for things? And so we cover the 11 basic categories of questions, the options, strategies, structures, things like that we may use to answer those questions. And it all depends on who's asking, what the question is, and where we are in the process when you decide how you go about answering that particular question. So it's really the fundamentals, and I liken it to basketball. There's no need to get on the court if you can't dribble and shoot. So I'm going to do the dribble and shoot part of learning how to interview effectively and strongly being that remarkable, memorable candidate that stands out in the interviewer's mind and puts you at the top of the list. So contact me, send me that email. I'll send you some available dates. I usually do it on Tuesdays from 10 to 12 and schedule others as demand occurs. So I'd be glad to have you participate. So come on down, no hot seat here. You don't have to sweat. You don't have to be very nervous or stressful or anything like that, because we're going to have learning without squirming.
Hey, Walt, how much is your class?
It's $2,000.
You're not offering a discount this month?
Yeah, the 100% discount's good for August and July. So I would suggest that you get on before the September discount goes away.
Okay, thank you.
I've got something else to add after my here before I get to the point.
Okay.
I recently called HP about my printer for them to discuss and tell me how to fix it, and they told me to throw it out. And so I bought a new printer. That's not the kind of help I wanted, but I have a different printer now, and it uses different ink. And I got about $150 worth of HP 950 or 951, HP 950, 951 ink. So if you use that kind of ink, I got a great deal for you. So contact me and we'll work it out so that you can get this at a very, very cheap price. So back to the interviewing in the interviewing world. Are you looking for work? Well, then give me a nod. Don't be a bump on a log. Gather up some brass and get off of your seat, and interview practice gets the job.
Thank you very, very much, Walt. All right, it's time to hear from the career tip of the week, which you'll find on the Career DFW or Career USA website. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, everyone. The tip of the week is entitled How to Write a Professional Thank You Email After an Interview. The author is Robin Rishwan. A thank you email after an interview demonstrates your interest and communication skills. Did you know that thank you notes are so important that they have their own National Day on December 26th? If this sleeper is a December holiday, the sleeper of a December holiday may not be well known, but the significance of expressing thanks, especially after an interview, continues to be a much appreciated courtesy. The thank you letter has evolved since its handwritten roots in the 1400s, but the purpose remains the same, to politely express sincere gratitude. Here are tips on crafting a professional thank you email after an interview. Why send a thank you email? Polite is a professional superpower. A recent 2021 survey by Zeti found that integrity, sincerity, and being kind rank in the top 5 traits hiring managers and recruiters target when making a new hire. In a world where there is more automation and distance, it is interesting and not surprising that employers want to work with genuine and thoughtful humans. A thank you email after an interaction during the hiring process is an excellent way to demonstrate these traits. Demonstrated interest. Although it doesn't always feel that way during the hiring process, interviewing is a two-way process where mutual interest is important to a successful outcome. Given the volume of applicants and the volume of roles that many candidates are pursuing, a thank you email makes it clear that you are indeed interested in continuing in the interview process after each step. It also enables you to stand out, since most applicants do not send thank you messages. It is a simple but high impact way to distinguish yourself. When should a thank you letter be sent? Interview processes have become more involved. Candidates may meet with a range of employees across the organization, some on multiple occasions. Should you send a thank you note after each exchange? In general, send one to each new person you meet after the first time you interact with them. Also, send a thank you email after each substantive interaction, like a second interview or a second or third interview, even if it is with the person you have met and thanked in the past. If possible, send the email on the same day, especially if you know they are making swift decisions. However, send an email if you have only send an email if you have enough time to make sure it is well written and error-free. A poorly written email will do more harm than good, so don't rush if it means sacrificing quality. What to include in a thank you email? Start with an authentic expression of appreciation for the opportunity and/or the time that was spent with you. You will get bonus points if you include any unique insights you gained or additional details that support your candidacy. Close by expressing your continued interest in moving forward in the process. Some managers will share your notes with others, so vary your content slightly to avoid looking like you just cut and paste the same message. Send each person their own professional thank you letter, customizing each based on the person's title, department, interests, and hiring criteria. The ability to write clear, grammatically correct, properly formatted, and professional correspondence is important for almost every role. Your thank you email demonstrates your written communication skills, so be sure to make a great impression every time you send an email. It is always helpful to have a trusted contact review your messages to ensure the email is as compelling as possible. Professional thank you email samples. If you need inspiration before crafting your own thank you email after an interview, refer to these examples. One example, after an initial screening with a recruiter who is moving you to the next stage in the process. Hi, Rick. Thank you for spending time with me today to discuss the analyst role. I was pleased to hear that my background seems to be an ideal match for the team, and I look forward to the next steps in the process. Another example, after an interview with a hiring manager. Hi, Mary. Thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed hearing more about the growth of the ABC team at Awesome Co. I would be thrilled to leverage the lessons learned with my current company, experienced a similar expansion in 2019. If I can provide any additional information, please let me know. I am very interested in continuing in the interview process and appreciate your ongoing consideration. Another example, after a team interview or meeting with the hiring manager. Hi, Mary. It was great to see you today. I really appreciated meeting with the team and learning more about the upcoming software transformation. As a user of your future software, I would love to help with the transition and play a role in maintaining productivity during a challenging time. My interest in Awesome Co has never been stronger. Please let me know if I can answer any questions or provide additional information to demonstrate my interest and qualifications. Also, check your work. Remember to double check the spelling of each recipient's name and the company name. You can look back at any calendar invites, emails, the company website, or LinkedIn to confirm email addresses and spelling. If full names, correct spelling, or contact information were not given to you, it is always okay to contact the recruiter or interview coordinator to ask for these details. In summary, an effective thank you email after an interview does not need to be long or painful to write. A succinct, sincere, and error-free message is the best way to go. As Jeff mentioned, if you'd like to revisit this article, you can find it on careerusa.org website. Have a good day, everyone.
Kelly, thank you very, very much. Okay, today, our lunch report. We are going to be meeting. Anybody who'd like to get together after this meeting for lunch today, we're going to be meeting at Dickey's Barbecue. It's on Preston Road, north of Parker, south of Spring Creek. This is one of the 5 places that we tend to rotate through when we were meeting in person. So we're meeting every other week. If you'd like to come join us this Friday or today, we'll be there around 12:30. So 12:30, Dickey's Barbecue. Okay, in just a couple minutes, we'll hear from our speaker, Paula, all about headshots, how to make a great first and lasting impression. But I wanted to mention about some upcoming sessions we have the next couple of weeks. We've got some really interesting topics. Next week, simplifying the job search through trust. Now, trust is capitalized because it actually TRUST stands for 5 different things, which is what he's going to talk about next week. So just simplifying the job search through trust. Join us, that's next Friday. On the 23rd, how writing a book can help your career. So also something many of you haven't thought about, but I think most everybody here on the call, you're experts in what you do. So you ever thought about writing a book? So it'll be another really interesting presentation. And then the last Friday of the month, the new normal job search and what has changed. This is with a professional recruiter from the Dallas-Fort Worth area to sort of talk about what changes he's seen over the last year in the job search, what the new normal is. So it's time to hear from our speaker today. I've known Paula for many, many years. She and her partner, Minna Brown, wrote this wonderful book called Be Sharp, which I tell everybody, I recommend this book. This is one of the 3 books I recommend everybody get. A couple weeks ago, we heard from Minna Brown when she was with us to talk about the 1-page bio. So we have her partner in crime, her partner in writing. So Paula, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here. Now, let me get my screen back to where I need it. Oh, all right. No presentation yet, right?
Here we go. I'll get it up right now.
There we go. Okay, thank you. And it's a delight to be here. I've known Jeff for, I don't know how many years, from the earlier days of this organization to what it's evolved into today, which is really quite amazing. And what we're going to be talking about today is something that's become a passion of mine, maybe over the past 5 or 6 years, which is your headshot, which is becoming increasingly important in terms of people connecting with you. People like to see who they're talking to. They like to connect. And I know that probably some of the LinkedIn people tell you this, the statistics are just off the roof between people who respond to LinkedIn requests with people that have headshots or don't have headshots, by a factor of 10 or 20 or something like that. And so we're going to talk about what makes a good professional headshot. Hopefully this will be a fun presentation. Hopefully you'll get a few good laughs out of it, along with a little introspection. Okay, the first thing that is I'll tell you about myself in just a minute, but Jeff, can you back up to the slide that you have on me instead of my presentation? Okay, the photograph that you have on there is one that looks pretty much like me. You would recognize me if I walked into a restaurant to meet you for lunch, or if I walked into an interview or something. I'm in the process of getting that changed out from an older headshot, which is still on some of my presentations and some various areas. Okay, if you can go back to my presentation now, to the main slide, that's an older one. First test of your headshot. Do you still look like that? And will people recognize you? And this one I've hung on to for a while. It's a really good headshot, but it is 5 years old, and I don't really, I mean, yes, you would recognize me, but no, you wouldn't recognize me. You know, my hairstyle's changed, 5 years have passed. So one of the things you do want to pay attention to in your headshot is making sure that what's there is current, that people will recognize you, that it makes you feel good about who you are today, and all of that. That's something that gets missed a lot in these. So today we're going to talk about these headshots and really how important they are in making a great first and lasting impression. So a little bit about me. I am the principal, president, founder of Yellow Brick Path. We've been in business for about 15 years. We're a career management and consulting firm, and one of the most important areas that I work in is personal branding. I've been involved in co-authoring 3 books on the topic. One of them, Be Sharp, Tell Me About Yourself in Great Introductions and Professional Bios, is one that Jeff has adopted. And from what I understand, you guys hear about it periodically, for which we are grateful. The first part of that book really talks about why people have trouble talking about themselves and how to kind of put together that message that you want to deliver. And then the remainder of the book talks about professional bios, how to create one, where you use them, all that sort of thing. This book is now in its 2nd edition. It's been, fortunately for us, very popular. My personal background is that my undergrad degree is Washington University in St. Louis. I have an MBA from Wharton, and my career has spanned leadership roles I've been in finance, I've been in IT, I've been in executive search, and as I said, for the past, well over a decade, I've had this company and worked with people. My specialty is working with them on their career documents, which means resume, bio, LinkedIn, and headshots. Okay, I think we can move on. Okay, so I'd like to start by really making the point here, which is that your headshot mirrors your brand. And I know with other things you do with this group, you do talk about your brand, but you want your headshot to be congruent with that. It really does give you a coordinate, it really does give you a competitive advantage when you're in terms of presenting yourself. And this is one of my absolute favorite examples that I think resonates with people. And what it says is, ouch, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Okay, this is really interesting. This is actually a professional colleague of mine. This picture is a number of years old now. But at the time, he was being considered for a prestigious award. And he was a software expert with an MBA from a world-renowned school. And this was one of those where with your application, you send in your picture and a bio and all that stuff, and people vote on you. And this is a picture that he posted on his application for this award. Now, both of us have a colleague who does not have a lot of filters, mouth to brain to mouth to what they say to you. And he shared this with me as her reaction to this. And I'm going to read it to you exactly. I was glad to vote for you. However, I'm sure you lost a lot of votes because of the picture. You look drunk, Neanderthal-jawed, and addle-brained. The flowered Hawaiian shirt might have passed if you had looked intelligent in it, or if you were just on vacation. But the picture was a bad choice since you are up against guys with PhDs. Okay, now, we know that not everybody is going to be that forthright in talking to you or giving you feedback. But I think we can be sure that she's not the only one that thought that. Okay, Next, Jeff. Okay, now we also want to talk about congruency. And this is one of my favorite cartoons. And it answers the question, what does your personal branding headshot say about you? And if you read at the bottom, this person is presumably in an interview. And the caption is, according to your LinkedIn profile, you're a focused, disciplined achiever. According to your Facebook photos, you love Jack Daniels and are pretty comfortable with your body. Okay, so again, you don't want to have information out there, especially in terms of headshots, which people grasp and absorb really quickly, that are not congruent and don't reflect you professionally. So if any of you have Facebooks or Instagrams or anything else that would undermine your professionalism, you probably want to get in and clean it up. And certainly during the time period that you're looking for a job, make sure that those tend to stay more rather than less professional. Okay, next one. Okay, so we can look at your headshot as a way of communicating who you are. And the thing about headshots is that people don't read through a lot of text. They just look at it and in a millisecond, grasp what they're seeing and make a judgment. So when you look at your picture, you want to see how that picture answers the question, tell me about yourself. So there are some ways to think about this that help. So the first one is just to access your LinkedIn profile and look at your headshot. Okay, pretend that you don't know who this person is and ask yourself the following questions. Number one, what kind of work does this person do? What level is this person at in the organization? And is this the first impression that you want to give to people? Okay, for some people it's going to be fine, and for some people it's going to be like an, oh my God, you know, we need to do something here. But that's a quick way of doing it. Now, if that hasn't made the point and you want to have some more fun, go and just randomly go into some other people's LinkedIn profiles, especially people you don't know, and ask those same three questions. What kind of work do they do? What level are they at in the organization? And is this a good professional first impression? Then go and look and see who they are in real life and see how congruent that is. If you try this, I think you will begin to, you know, really connect into just how important this is and why you want to make sure yours is good. Okay, next one. Okay, as we go through this presentation, by the way, you're going to see lots of headshots come up. For the most part, except when I'm making a point, they are going to be good ones because, again, I think people grasp this. So the one that's on this page, that is a really, really good professional headshot. And this person happens to be a relatively young professional in his 20s, you know, that works in an industry where suit and, you know, professional suit and tie is a prerequisite. Okay, so number one, people make decisions based on how you look. You probably know that in real life, or we wouldn't be spending as much time as we do getting our selfies just right. Okay, the major and most important point here is that a great headshot captures your energy and professionalism and engages your audience. That is your ultimate test. If in fact you do not have a good headshot, if you don't match with what people expect, it can undermine your credibility, it can diminish your appeal, and it can create noise in the communication channel. Now, one more thing, even though pictures shouldn't be on resumes, and that is a legal EEOC thing, they should be other places, and people will go other places to look for them, like LinkedIn, like your bio, like your Facebook page, etc. And they should be there. They just need to be done right. Okay, next one. Okay, again, this is a really great headshot. And what this also shows you is that you do have some ability to have some personality in these headshots. You don't have to look like an IRS auditor all the time. Okay, this is a great headshot. It's got some color, it's got some pizzazz, it's got some energy, and it is still very professional. And it represents your personal brand. So you want it to be something that reflects your personality, your style, and something that you feel proud to showcase. In some ways, that headshot is your first interview. It's the first time that somebody is looking at you. Okay. Now, again, I was talking a minute ago about all the time that people spend on selfies. And if job seekers would spend as much time on their professional headshot as they spend on their selfies, they would probably do a lot better in the professional job seeking environment. Okay, next. Okay, do you need a new headshot? I'm going to go through the items that are on our checklist, but when we're done, these checklists that get referenced in the presentation are available on my website, and Jeff is going to send you links so that you can actually get to them, so you don't have to sit and furiously write right now. Okay. Number one, is your image sharp and your face well lit? So if you can get in your mind a visual on your headshot, and just think yes or no as we go through this list. Is the background free from clutter? Is it a headshot taken of you and only you? Do the colors of your attire complement each other, your skin and your hair? Are your clothes and jewelry well positioned and your clothes nicely pressed? And then what we talked about before, does your headshot accurately reflect who you are today? Is it older than 5 years old? Have you changed your hair color or style? Have you stopped or started wearing glasses? Have you lost or gained weight? Are you still working in the same industry? Or are you working in a more formal or less formal environment? You know, do you need a suit and tie? Do you need something that's more business casual in terms of the industry you're working in? For example, people that work in high-tech companies in Silicon Valley would be laughed out of the room in that gray suit, white shirt, and tie from that first photograph that we had up a few slides back. Okay, then more from a gut feel. Are you proud of your image? Does it make you feel good? And the last question, and probably the one that sums it up, would you do business with the person in this headshot? And my conclusion is that if even one applies to you, that you probably should consider getting it redone. Okay, next. You want to be putting your best face forward. And for most people, a professional photographer is usually worth the investment. And again, we have a checklist on choosing one. We have a photographer that we recommend in the Plano area, and Jeff is going to give you that contact information if you want to go in that direction. But if you have a friend who can do this well, if you have a family member that's a photographer, whatever, certainly feel free, or just a photographer that you like, certainly feel free to take advantage of whatever resources you have. So again, I'm just going to kind of roll through the checklist items on choosing a good photographer. First, they should be familiar with photographing business people. This is not the photographer that did your family photo for the Christmas card on the backyard with your dog. They're probably also not the ones that did the ones for your dentist office or whatever. They need to be familiar with doing headshots. They should also be open to the guidelines that you tell them you want adhered to, because they're going to come with their own set of what they think they should be doing, which in some cases will align perfectly, and in some cases they won't, but they certainly should be willing to listen to what you have to say. Okay, it's generally best if they have a studio environment to take the pictures in, because then they can control the lighting and the positioning and all of that. Ideally, the photographer should take multiple shots and give you a choice. Once you've chosen from those shots, the one or more that you want, they should deliver a retouched, and we're going to talk about retouching a little later, a retouched image in a JPEG format of 1 to 2 megabytes. You need a high resolution picture so that it comes out clear, and so that it also, if you need to do any cropping to it, that you've got enough to work with. I want to talk for a second about sending a photograph via a standard email like Gmail or Yahoo. A lot of those now are, when they send a photograph and an email attachment, are actually reducing them to lower resolution because of the storage space required for all of the photographs of what you had for dinner last night. You don't need 1 to 2 meg for your steak, unless it's an art shot, of course. So they're automatically doing compression on them. So if you have a 1 meg photograph that ends up, reduced 10x when you send it on an email, you'll either want to use Dropbox for sending it to somebody if you need to, or you will want to send it in a zip file if you are for some reason just sending the headshot to somebody. That's just a FYI that I kind of learned the hard way. Okay, from a photographer, back to our list. You want to make sure that they provide a right to use license in writing to make sure that you have the right to use this photograph. Okay, you should receive a standard 5x7. Ideally, you should also receive one that has been cropped to a square for use on LinkedIn or on your business cards. And we're going to talk about also now having them take that square picture and doing a flip, so that depending on where you're putting it, you're going to want your head facing into the document, not out off the edges. And so depending on whether your picture is on the left or the right will depend on which version, you'll either want it, for example, this one is, on the left side and the head is facing into the screen. Okay, if you can visualize that on the other side of the screen, you'll see that the head would be facing out into La La Land somewhere. And that's the place where you would want to just do a, do a flip so that it's facing in. It literally takes a photographer, 1 second to do that. And so you should ask for it. The photographer should also provide a no-cost retake guarantee. And finally, of course, the photographer's services should fit within your budget. So you're going to have options, you're going to have choices, but this is a good checklist that you can pull out just to kind of go down it and say, the person that I'm talking to, are they going to fit within these parameters and increase the likelihood that I'm going to get a really great headshot? Okay, next, Jeff. Keys to a great headshot. This is one of my absolute favorite headshots. Okay, so there are 5 things that really top the list here. The first is that your head should be somewhere around 50%, maybe even 60% of the picture. This is why you're going to want to, if you just have a 5x7, you're going to want to crop it up from the bottom to just below your shoulders. So you get about 50% of your head. No one needs to see that additional amount of your clothing. And the more they see of your head, the more that person is going to engage with you. So if you look at this person, for example, look how dynamic and alive their face is, their eyes, they've got a little pop of color. That person really engages with you. If you had less head, more body, it increasingly reduces the amount that person is going to engage with you. Second, your head should be straight up and down, give or take just a little bit. This one is maybe a millimeter off, but it is fine in the straight up and down category. You also want it facing forward. Okay, tilting heads is very popular with some photographers. So if all of you can everybody see me in the thumbnail, Jeff?
They should be able to, yes.
Okay, so if you can see me in the thumbnail, I want you to watch what happens when I tilt my head. So I've turned my shoulders a little bit, face front, straight up and down, and I tilt it. Look how subordinate that just became. I'm a power player. I'm in a subordinate role. And even if you are in a support role, like an executive assistant or a project coordinator or something like that, you still want to come to the table, you know, exuding all of your personal power and engagement. So your ideal picture is going to be shoulders slightly turned. If they're not, what you get looking at me now is a mug shot. Turn my shoulders, much more relaxed, engaging, whatever. This is a mug shot, and we're going to see some later on again. Head straight up and down, facing forward. If we tilt it, not what you want. Okay, regardless of your role, you want to be viewed as somebody who deserves a seat at the table. Okay, formal versus informal. Again, we touched on that just a little bit. If you work in a formal environment, you are going to want a formal headshot. If you work in a less formal environment, you're going to want a less formal headshot. And I think the great question to ask to make that determination is, what would you wear to an interview? If you would wear something that's formal, then you need a picture that's formal, because remember, this is really your first interview. Now, so what does formal mean? It's easier to describe it for men because it's really simple. Formal means suit and tie. Informal generally means jacket, open collar. Even in the most informal organizations, people are generally not expected to show up in their gym clothes or a golf shirt for an interview. For women, it's a little bit more complicated, but the distinction is the same. So generally speaking, for women, formal is going to mean, it could mean a suit, jacket, dress with jacket, dress with sweaters that are jacket replacements. Those things would all be pretty formal. Less formal would just be, you know, a top or something like that. But again, you have to play with it a little bit, look around, see whatever. Now, the good news for women is that our clothing is more fashion forward than it was back in the day. For example, that one that I showed you of the woman with the longer earrings and the dress, that is totally appropriate in most environments for women. Now, in really formal environments, women still may be in, you know, more traditional suits, but you've got a lot more flexibility than you used to have. And the other thing is, in this one, which is frankly quite a formal picture, you know, it's a black, I don't know whether it's a jacket or a dress underneath there, but that red scarf, totally professionally appropriate and really pops the energy of that picture. Okay, finally, things for a good picture is retouching is essential. Even some professional photographers don't do retouching. And what retouching does is it removes the glare, softens the skin tone, and eliminates shadows. And retouching, if you have a good professionally taken photograph, a photographer, and it's got enough resolution, a photographer can take that and retouch it. They don't have to retake it to retouch it. And it shouldn't be terribly expensive to have them do that. And again, we'll have some examples of that later. The other thing is that there are a couple of poses that you want to skip over. One is the hand under the chin, you know, this one. It's very popular for engagement pictures for women because really the picture is about showing off the engagement ring, but it doesn't do anything for you in a professional environment. The next one is what I call the extreme lean in. And I'm sure you've seen some of those. They tell you to, lean forward to take the picture. Again, a little bit of a lean sometimes helps the picture, and a good photographer will know how much to do, but you don't want to look like you're trying to balance yourself from falling off a chair. If you have a longer picture with more body showing, get your hands out of your pockets, and regardless of whether you're standing or in some cases sitting at a desk, arms folded or crossed, which are also very popular with some photographers, probably don't do the best for you in a professional photograph, because the old body language thing about crossing your arms, crossing your shoulders, still put you into a perceptually closed position. And right now you want to be open and engaging. So again, I think you'll find this in one of the checklists too. Okay, next one. Okay, this one's fairly straightforward, which really talks about, your personal brand on social media, and, just making sure that you show up well there, because people are going to go and look for you there. You need to look good. I can tell you, people will look you up on social media, not just for jobs, but for example, when I do workshops, I get the participant list from the coordinator. And before the workshop, I look up every single person in that group on LinkedIn to see who's going to be there. I mean, there are all kinds of places where people go. And again, what we said was, the wrong headshot can undermine your brand, and you can go and take a look at your workshop. Not yet, Jeff. Okay, a few things that you want to steer clear of is replace your selfies, vacation photos, and event photos with a professional headshot. Skip photos with other people or pets. Don't use photos in your backyard or living room. Stay clear of photos in inappropriate attire. Don't use icons, caricatures, or logos. And avoid using low resolution headshots. Okay, now we get to the fun part with these. Next one, please. Okay, these are real LinkedIn headshots selected at random. These I describe as the downright awful. Okay, think about somebody hiring one of these people for a job, and you look at them and you ask the same questions. Who is this person? What kind of work do they do? What level are they at? Do they present themselves well? Okay, I don't think an older guy who's slightly overweight on the golf course is the guy I'm interested in hiring for most jobs in most companies, unless there's always an exception, possibly unless you're hiring somebody to be a golf pro at one of those places where people go and hit balls into the, into the thing. You buy a bucket of balls and hit them. He looks like a good golf pro for that. Okay, the next one is a great photographic picture, but it's really more a picture of a model or something that was taken, for your living room. That person, it turns out, is a professional resume writer. There's nothing in that picture that would encourage me to think that person ought to be writing my resume. Okay, then we have the icon. Okay, you're going to hire that guy? Next one, mugshot. What did that person just get arrested for? Next one. And again, you can lay in your own tags on how you perceptually read one of these pictures. The person in the next one reads to me, I would say she looks like she's in a car with sunglasses on, outdoor background, casual look. She looks to me like she might be an educator for the farm service. That's how I read that one. Okay, next one. Yoga instructor, Victoria's Secret model. I don't know. Turns out that she's a sales representative for a large company that you would recognize. Don't think it's going to do it. Okay, company logo in the banner on LinkedIn, but possibly, but not in your headshot. Next one, that is that purple fade out that happens to photographs when they've been sitting in your closet for 15 years or out in the sun or got wet in the last rainstorm. Not going to do much for you. You want to make sure that you have a decent quality photograph. Next one. Okay, so whose profile is it? Or are you hiring a team? Are you hiring a team of lovebirds? This is possibly a Facebook picture, but it is definitely not the one that's going to get you a job. And the same thing on the next one. This is not a LinkedIn headshot. This is a Facebook headshot. You know, if you want a picture with your grandkids or your kids, that's fine. Put it out on Facebook. But it is not going to do you well in a professional environment, which is what LinkedIn is. Okay, I think we are about ready to move on. Okay, now those that we just looked at are what I call the downright awful. And hopefully when you go out and look, either you will change yours out immediately or get a new one, or maybe you'll say, I got a good one out there, and just smile and be happy. Okay, here is the retouching versus not retouching. And I described this as the not so good. Okay, the one on the left, that's a usable photograph. You know, looks good. On the right is the same picture retouched. And what you can see is that the glare on the forehead is gone. The glare in the glasses is gone. The glare on the chin, on the cheeks is gone. The 5 o'clock shadow is gone. The skin tones have been evened out a little bit. I think there may have been a couple of flyaway hairs that have been also taken care of. I mean, look at the amazing difference in how that person looks with just a little retouching. Okay, now, the goal of retouching is not to make you look like a China doll and not to make you look like you're 20 years younger than you are. It's just to make the real you look good. So that's the goal you're trying to get to with that. Now, I can tell you that there is no such, you know, that we rarely get a 100% perfect picture. And you don't have to agonize about that. In this picture, you'll notice that the shoulders are perfect. But what's happened is the head is slightly tilted. So it is straightforward, which is good. It's just slightly tilted. And it would be a little better if it were straightened up just a tiny little bit. Now, LinkedIn actually gives you the ability to do this. If you go in to edit your picture, it will come right up and you can see it. And it just lets you move it slightly. You have to make sure that when you straighten it, that the top of your head doesn't go out of the picture if you don't have enough space at the top to do that. But on this one, there's plenty of space at the top. And in LinkedIn, this one should be able to be cleaned up very quickly, very easily. Okay, next. This is also the not so good. This is the head tilt we talked about before. Same person. Look at the loss of power in the picture on the left. Look at the energy and professionalism of the person on the right. Both pictures are of a woman who is the CEO of a sort of small to mid-sized company. And so you can ask yourself, which one presents as a CEO and which one doesn't? Okay, next. Not so good, the mugshot. Okay, on the left, we have a mugshot. On the right, we have shoulders turned, head straight forward, head up and down, everything. At least in my opinion, the one on the right is so much more engaging, so much more professional. And so you probably want to veer in the direction of going for that. That is an almost perfectly positioned headshot, the one on the right. Okay, next. Okay, you're getting to see various generations of my headshot. This is an even older one. Okay, but take a look at the difference between black and white and color. The color has so much more energy, comes up so much better. Black and white works really great as an art picture, as a photographic piece of art. But again, if the purpose here is to engage people with you, you're going to want to stay with color. I think that black and whites for headshots for these purposes also would be considered outdated. Okay, next. Okay, here are some examples of some good ones. The one on the upper left of the woman in the blue jacket, that one is 99% perfect. That is just a really super good headshot. And that would be considered for women a formal headshot. That is probably a dress under jacket with bright color in the jacket. I'm not sure it gets better than that. Okay. The guy in the middle, this is formal for a man. Head maybe is a millimeter tilted, but I wouldn't even mess with it. It's not enough to even worry about. And again, that's a formal shot. Okay. The one in the upper right, again, it's a good headshot. And that is somewhere between being formal and informal. It was intended to be formal, but the colors perhaps just drop it a little more into the informal space, but you have to make your own judgment. And then the two below are men, one formal, one informal, again, just as some other examples. Okay, next. Okay, so back to what we were saying, general guidelines. Wear what you'd wear to an interview, fashion forward look is okay. And again, I like to share this particular headshot because here's somebody who's basically black and white, gray hair, black jacket, black and white shirt. The lipstick pops that picture and makes it fabulous. Okay, we're also going to talk now about you were good. Backgrounds. Okay, there are some backgrounds that are really out of date. There are backgrounds that are in a mottled blue or mottled gray that are really out of date. You want to stay away from those. But here are the ones that are most current, most up to date, most acceptable today. One is a plain gray background. Although that is getting a little more out of date, but it's fine. The one on the right has a fade out background in it. And that is a favorite of photographers right now. And it's fine. The only thing that you have to pay attention to here is whether it is competing with you. Do you see the person or are you focused on the background? It also needs to be purpose appropriate. For example, in my background, I live in Dallas. I'm a city girl. I work professionally. I wouldn't do a professional headshot. Let's see, on a country vista, or or a ranch. It's incongruent with the message that you're trying to deliver. That doesn't have to be a place. That fade out background could be, could be in your office. It also could be just a geometric pattern of some kind, or just some color splashes. So you've got a lot of options with this, as long as it doesn't compete with you. Okay, the middle one is my current favorite, and that's called a gradient gray. And what you'll see is it's the gray background, but it is slightly lighter by your face. And if you compare that one with the one to the left, not just because it's bigger, but because of the lighting, look how much more the face pops on that picture. How much more engaging that is than the one that's on the plain gray background. Again, I wouldn't whip out and spend any money necessarily to have a background faded out. If you've got a good headshot, it's fine. But if you're starting from scratch, you might want to consider going for the gradient gray, or if you really like it, looking at one of the fade outs, just being really careful, in how you make the selection. Okay, next, please. Okay, these are just some examples of, I've got a couple of them, of informal versus formal. There's your informal versus formal. Next, a woman, informal versus more formal. Again, none of the pictures are 100% perfect, but they are all good enough. Okay, next one, formal versus informal. And now the issue of facial hair. And this is my opinion. Jeff, I don't know what you don't have to chime in right now, but I don't know what you tell people, but here's kind of my history on this, which is 10 years ago, my advice to job seekers was, unless you are so attached to your facial hair that you couldn't live for one day without it and is your total identity and you're going to go to the grave with it, shave it off, get a job, grow it back. You're trying to get a job. Okay, in today's world, that's been relaxed quite a bit because facial hair is really in, especially for younger people. And so the trick on the facial hair is to make sure that it is professional, that you still look good, that it is well groomed, and that whatever you have is within the parameters of what is considered professionally appropriate for people in your age group. So that is my current advice. If somebody walks in here with, like my IT guy who has a 4-inch long goatee, or 6 inches or 8 inches, I don't know, it's really long. That's fine. He's coming to my office to fix my computer. I don't care if his beard goes down to his knees if he likes it. But if he's looking for a job, it's not going to play. So again, it's just making sure that what you do, really put your best professional presence forward is going to be appropriate for the job, for the environment, for your age group. Okay, next one. It's just another example. Sometimes the going from formal to informal is just a matter of changing out the color of the shirt, which makes it, more relaxed. Okay, next one. Business cards. Since a lot of you folks are in the process of looking for jobs and not connected to an employer that's given you a business card, you will want to have a professional business card. Nobody's talked to anybody in person for a year now, so you can't take them out of your pocket and hand them to anybody. Those days are coming back, but it might be something, for example, that gets put in the signature line of an email. It might be something that goes someplace else on your materials or whatever, but look at the difference in terms of engagement between the one that has the headshot and the one that doesn't. The level of memorability is somewhere on the, 30x in terms of remembering who that person was, engaging with them, connecting with them. You can put that headshot any place you want on the business card. These are Vistaprint business cards, which means you can move everything around. So you can put it right or left, top or bottom, any place you want it. But I do highly recommend it. And again, pay attention to make sure that wherever you're placing it, that your head is facing into the card and not out into la la land. Okay, next. Okay, now we get to the really fun stuff. If you spent any of COVID, surfing around on the internet for fun things to do, you've probably run across some of these internet, do you think this, do you think this, put it in. Okay, so there's a group of them out there that tell you to put in your photo and have a group of people vote and comment on it. My opinion on that is that these are really fun. But they are really more entertainment than serious business. They are advertised for business, social, and dating. And here's what they say about themselves. Find out what people really think of your photos. To choose your best pics, get objective feedback in a respectful, moderated environment. Target voters by gender and age. Part people, part artificial intelligence. Stop guessing, start testing. Okay. Part of the problem with this is that this is feedback, and these tools make a lot of semantic assumptions. For example, if they come back and say you look intelligent or competent, what does intelligent really mean? What does competent really mean? For most of you, you've been in places where you're familiar with using feedback, whether it's from customers or employees that you're managing or getting it from a boss or whatever. You know that meaningful feedback has to be followed up by some kind of analysis to make any sense out of it. And the other thing to keep in mind is that feedback is not truth. It's just feedback. Just because somebody says something doesn't make it so. And it's the process of digging in and analyzing whatever feedback you're getting that allows you to determine whether that information is useful, not useful, true, not true, whatever. So have a good time, but don't rely on this for judging your professional headshot. Next one. Okay, this is just a summary. And once again, that is a nearly perfect headshot. And I would describe that one as being formal. Okay, one of the reasons I put this one in is if it's big enough on your screen, you can see that just above her eye, she's got a piece of face jewelry. There's a little round piece of jewelry between her eye and her eyebrow. And so this again elicits the same sort of discussion as facial hair. You know, what will people consider appropriate in today's employment market? And you have to judge your own environment. You have to judge your own set of values for this. But for certain pieces, you may want to remove it for an interview and put it back when you get home at night. And other people are really committed to this and say, you know, if they can't let me have a little piece of face jewelry here, I'm not working for this company. But that again is really up to you, but it's something for you to make a decision about. Okay, next one. Okay, you can pull this stuff up on one of my worksheets, but I guess the fundamental question here is to know what impression you are trying to project, especially on the one hand to people you know, and on the other hand to people you meet for the first time. And again, sometimes the questions you ask are more important than the answers because the questions will trigger your thought process. So as you answer these questions, here are some of the information that you might want to think about. One, does it reflect my professional best? And what do I specifically mean by that? Is it appropriate for my audience? And by the way, what audience is that? Is it congruent with the rest of my personal brand? And how? How is it congruent? Do I feel good when I look at myself in this picture? And specifically, how do I feel? Is it engaging? In what ways? Do I come across as comfortable and authentic? And how do you know? And one thing you can do with this list is you can reword those questions slightly, hand it to one of your friends, and let them answer the questions. You know, so to your friend, does it reflect do you think it reflects my professional best? You know, and specifically, do you think it's appropriate for my audience, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a good way to get feedback, and especially where the second half of the question is asking for the specifics. So does it reflect my professional best? Specifically, what do you mean by that? That's where you start to get the real feedback. And you can run this through 3 or 4 of your friends, add it to your own, and you'll have some really good information. Okay, next. Okay, all of the stuff that we've talked about so far is, you know, either in this presentation or it's in those sheets. So I'm not going to go back and go over all of them again. We've really been through everything. So I think the issue here now is just pay some attention, figure out what you want to do, and enjoy the journey, as you move forward to creating your documents and in your pitch and pursuing your dream job. Okay, Jeff, I'm hoping we have time for a few questions.
Yes. Yep. I'll make sure I'm unmuted here. One question somebody said, Tracy says, aren't health issues the reason for facial hair, not a reflection of personal best?
Health issues. Jeff, do you have some idea what we're talking about here? Is this acne?
Hi, it's Tracy. Acne, and it's not a reflection of someone not being professional, but an idea that someone recognition of society that people do have health conditions for sometimes to wear facial hair, a beard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was my concern because it wasn't stated in your presentation.
If somebody,
sure,
if somebody has a reason why it's helpful to them, there's no problem with having it. The issue is to make sure that it is professional, that it's well groomed. You can have facial hair and still look very professional. And that would be the answer to me. It's not an excuse just to, go to the dogs, so to speak. And so as long as it's a focus on, making it part of a professional presentation in this day and age, it's fine. If it is an issue that can be handled, not so much with men because men don't like makeup, but with women, if it's something that professionally you handle with makeup, for example, use makeup and just have the picture retouched. If it's just a little acne that you don't like or something like that, that can be retouched right out and can be handled with makeup, on a day-to-day basis. But for a guy, facial hair, absolutely.
I don't mind seeing facial hair. In fact, and since last May, I started this thing. But what gets me is when you see people down here and it's all scraggly.
Right.
If you're going to have a beard or a mustache, make it neat, make it clean, because if you don't, I don't know, that perception of when I see the scraggle down here, it's like, well, they're really, what else are they not taking care of?
Right. And 5 o'clock shadow has become kind of a fashion statement. I would say the 5 o'clock shadow does not play well professionally. What's your impression, Jeff?
It depends. I guess if you look like a model, it's okay. But if you don't look like a model, I don't think you should be doing it.
Right. If you're getting a job as a model, then do it.
Right.
If you're getting a job as an IRS agent, it probably doesn't play.
Right. There's been people to our group. I know over the years, and you look at some people and they just, if you have a mustache, it makes you look 5 years older. Get rid of that mustache. You have that baby face again. And then, like you said, after you get the job, grow it back.
Right. And for example, I've had clients occasionally that have had these great, big, heavy handlebar type or, 3-inch mustache, 3-inch mustaches in length. And I just don't think it's doing them any favors.
Right. Any questions from anybody? We've got time for a couple questions. You want to unmute your mic and jump in? Anyone? No?
Not a single question? Well, Jeff, you have to ask me a question then.
Well, I don't know. I like the fact, and one of the things you'll notice, so somebody put Charles says glasses or no glasses?
Okay. If you're the kind of person that never takes your glasses off and would not be recognizable without your glasses, and you've got a good photographer that's going to do good retouching, it's part of who you are, and I'd leave them on. If you're somebody like me, who I wear them because I need them for the computer, or for reading, but generally I'm not wearing them, I would take my glasses off for my picture because they're kind of like a tool. They're not really, part of me. If you're going to a photographer that's going to give you a little bit of studio, you're going to do multiple shots, take some with them on, take some with them off, see which ones make you feel better. I mean, there's really like a kinesthetic gut instinct to this. I feel good with them on. I feel good with them off. I feel more like me when I'm wearing them.
I've read, there's a program I think called Photo Feeler or something where you can go and have your photo evaluated, or even evaluated by other people. And I've seen some things that go and say, if you have glasses, wear them because it makes you look more professional. It makes you look more business-like, whatever.
Okay,
But
that's one of those things. That's one of those things like that internet site that I was saying. Somebody has made up a rule that has very little semantic content to it. Somebody has decided, based on no evidence that they're giving you and no research, that glasses make you look smarter, wiser, older, more professional. For some people, maybe they do. For some people, maybe they don't. That judgment is in the eye of the beholder.
right.
And so that's why I'm saying, I think that what it comes down to is take some pictures with them on, take some pictures with them off. And how do you feel? How do other people, when you're working with other people at work, do you have glasses on all day long? And that, and start to make some decisions based on some analysis of your own feelings, of the environment that you work in, of possibly getting some feedback from other people. Take it all in and decide what you want to do. But again, when you walk into an interview, somebody should recognize you.
Right.
Okay, I think I just saw another question pop up,
Yeah,
Jeff.
Nora asked, with a black suit jacket for women, is there a particular color that's best for headshots? Or solid colors better than prints?
Okay. General rule of thumb is that, well, first of all, prints you have to be a little bit careful about because they're distracting. I'm not saying never wear one. I'm just saying that your solid colors tend to be a little less distracting. I am a fan of color, and I am a fan under a black suit jacket of something that has what's called a jewel neck. It's a t-shirt neck, it's like a silk tee neck or a dress that has just a, can't see it, this kind of neckline. Just a round neckline under a suit jacket. And in that regard, colors that go well with black and well with your skin tone will be very good. That depends on what your own color tones are, what color your hair is, what makes you feel good. I like color, a little bit of color in a tee. If you're in a very formal organization where it's black jacket, white shirt, if every guy that walks in there is wearing a black suit, a white shirt, and a red tie, basically you're going to end up doing the same thing. It's, it might be black jacket, white shirt, but then take a piece of jewelry or a scarf that has some color. Take something that's going to pop that outfit, maybe turquoise, or even silver with some colored stones, but some earrings, something that's going to give that black and white a little bit of life. Or as I said, just put some kind of professional colored tee. You might want to stay away from something like bright fuchsia. If you're into a black suit environment, but a light colored turquoise would be fine, anything like that. And again, look at yourself in the mirror and see how well you like yourself, how well it presents you. Ask some other people how they react to it, and ask them in terms of those specific questions. Specifically, what is it about it that's making you react that way? Okay, I think I saw another question.
Yeah, we've got another question here from Brian, and I really like this one. If you're interviewing with a company like Whole Foods, which is very casual, do you recommend changing your headshot to a casual one on your profile until you completed your interviews?
If those are the kinds of companies you're interviewing with, absolutely. It's so easy to change that out. You know, if you've got a suit and a tie out there and you're interviewing with Whole Foods, now, I still don't think you ought to get down to your gym clothes, even for Whole Foods. I'm not sure just a plain golf shirt is where you want to be. Because the people that work at Whole Foods, even though it's very casual, still to me seem to be professional in their appearance to the public. So it needs to be professional looking. Now, I have had some people on super casual things where they will look exactly like Jeff looks today. You know, it is a professional shirt, but no jacket. You know, that could be totally appropriate for certain environments. It doesn't necessarily have to have a jacket over it. Jeff, what's your sense of that?
Well, I think the hard thing about that is, how do you know somebody else isn't looking at you from a company that's not like Whole Foods?
Right.
So that's why, you know, I mean, I recently changed my photo in the last 8 months, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, to just a plain blue shirt with a jacket with an open collar, just because it's a little bit more relaxed. It'd be okay going either way for somebody. But yeah, I mean, it's how do you know who else could be looking at you?
Right. And that what Jeff just described as what I call jacket open collar, that is exactly the informal look for men that covers the broad swath of where you need to be. And it's not just, you know, one end of the spectrum, Whole Foods. And I don't think Whole Foods would object to you if you had, let's say the shirt you have on, would you ever wear something like a beige linen jacket over that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't.
Some people, what color jacket would you put over that?
My jackets are gray, blue, and black.
Light gray? Do you have a light gray? Dark gray.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I guess my profile picture is sort of a medium gray. I mean,
Medium gray. Okay. Medium gray over that shirt, in my opinion, would be quite good. Are you happy with it? Do you like the way you look?
right now. Well,
No, with your jacket on your profile.
oh yeah, with my jacket, yeah. And I put a blue shirt on because I have blue eyes and I want that to pop out. So
Absolutely.
that's why I did that.
Absolutely. So that's a good example. And the one thing I like to make a point about it is that it is at all ends of the spectrum where that informal look works. So for example, have I lost you, Jeff?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I just hid my photo. So there's my most recent photo that's popped up there, you know, with the blue shirt, light gray or a gray jacket. And now I'm not happy with the background, but that's okay.
Right. And I'll talk to you afterwards and I'll tell you about our photographer and how to get it fixed up. But anyway, you know, that's kind of the look, but it's Whole Foods at one end, but it is also private equity Silicon Valley. If you walked in with anything more formal than what Jeff had on, they would laugh you out of the room. They don't know how to spell suit.
Right.
You know, now, on the other hand, that same person, even if it's Silicon Valley, and even this is relaxed a little bit, but let's say that they were going to a New York investor for funding from a very traditional bank, you know, maybe they'd want something, you know, maybe that's where you put on a tie and something, maybe not a black suit, white shirt, but something that's a little bit more formal, a little bit more in line with conservative banking.
Right, right. Well,
So
Paula,
again,
thank you very much. I think really great information. As you know, Paul talks about, make sure you're facing into the photo. And when you see my presentation, depending on which way I get the photo off of LinkedIn, is which side the person's on. I'll move the person back and forth, just depending on what works, you know, what makes it look good. In fact, you'll see a picture coming up here for our speaker next week that's a little bit on the other side. So, oops, let's see here. Come on.
Jeff, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So Yellow Brick Path, this is the website. I will put the link for this in my email this afternoon, everybody. So as long as everybody has put their contact information in the chat box, I'll put the photographer that Paula recommends, So this is what the page looks like. And as you scroll down, you have to scroll down a little bit. Up will come a whole section on headshots. And you actually, this very first item there is her presentation with her notes. So you'll be able to download that if you'd like. And then the bottom ones are all the different checklists that she did talk about. So all that stuff is available online. I will make sure I get the link out to you this afternoon when I put out the list along with the agenda. So as long as I know if I've got your contact information into the contact field, that'll be great. Next Friday. So as you see here, the photo flipped because I wanted to make sure they're looking the right way. Ken Schur will be with us. He's a career coach out of the Philadelphia area. He'll be talking about simplifying the job search through trust. If you have not put your 30-second information into the 30-second introductions into the chat box or into the comment field on Facebook, please do so. So I can, number one, make sure I get you this information this afternoon. And number two, I can put you on the agenda or on the contact list for being with us today. And you never know, you may tell us about a target company that somebody here can help somebody else with. So please, 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 put that information in so we can share that with everybody. And please look it over, try to help somebody today. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 5 days a week. Next week, starting out with networking, Jay Arbetter will be with us talking about networking the old-fashioned way. The presentation is a 90-minute presentation. Most of our talks have all been 60 minutes, but this one will be 90 minutes. So just be aware, Monday from 1 to 2:30 Central Time. On Tuesday, LinkedIn, our presentations with Kurt Vonnemotter. He's a retained recruiter. He spends lots of money with LinkedIn, and he's going to tell you why. He's going to tell you what you need to do so that he can find you, how you can make it simple for him to reach out to you. As we mentioned earlier, interviewing Wednesdays will be on session number 11 of 13 about informational interviews. On Thursday, Effective Resume Thursdays, we have a special guest speaker, Aaron Allitz. He's the operation director from Next Step Recruiting. Will be sharing his top tips on how you can make your resume stand out. So when he looks at your resume, and he looks at lots of resumes every day. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you do that, the more people who do, the better, the more new things that both of the platforms open up to allow us to do some other things. Please check each page. Please subscribe. Please, we really appreciate it. On the Career USA YouTube channel, this is where you can find all the prior sessions. If you click on playlist, which is the easiest way to get to everything, you'll see that there is a playlist for resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, and then you can go back and you can see all the different speakers we've had here at the North Dallas group. And if you don't click on the video, but click where it says View Full Playlist, where you see that red arrow, up will come a list of all the different speakers that we've had, and you can scroll down and find whatever topic that you're looking for. If it's not the newest one should always be current on the top, but if it's not, please click on the little sort button and it'll get the newest one to the very top for you. Well, thank you for joining us today. Once again, if you'd like to join us for lunch today, we're going to be at Dickey's Barbecue on Preston, north of Parker, south of Spring Creek. We'll be there at 12:30. So if you'd like to join us there, Paula, thank you very much once again, and everybody have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everybody. Enjoyed being with you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank
Thanks,
you so
Paula.
much.
Have a good
This is
weekend.
wonderful. Thank you, Jeff.